This prediction is going to be probably my most controversial prediction of anything I do during round one. So I want to just say I invite conversation. I invite feedback. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Tell me why. Tell me why I'm wrong. Please don't just disagree with no argument, though. If you're going to disagree, don't just say, you're wrong, you're an idiot. Say, hey, you're wrong. Here's why. I love hearing that. I love having conversations. Let's dive in. Brock Purdy is going to be the week one starter for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think you have to go with him. The locker room believes in him. I think you can only do more. You can only get rid of him or move off of Brock Purdy if he doesn't win. They've got two other quarterbacks in San Francisco, Sam Darnold and Trey Lance. Both are former number 3 overall picks. But if you start one of the quarterbacks not named Brock Purdy week one and you lose, you're going to have a mutiny in the locker room. They're going to say, why isn't Brock playing? Why are we not starting the quarterback who led us to a game within the Super Bowl last year? This doesn't make any sense. So I think it makes sense. Brock Purdy's the starting quarterback. He came out of nowhere last year, Mr. Irrelevant, literally the last pick of the draft, and then started out the year as the number 3 quarterback. It's a really cool story. He took over after Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, played in the final 6 regular season games, led the 49ers to an NFC title game. They lost to Philadelphia when he got hurt, but you always will wonder, I will always wonder, if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, would they have gone to the Super Bowl? That's very possible. I don't know that it really matters who the 49ers quarterback is. I think they're such a good football team with such good coaching that they're so talented. I feel like any quarterback of the 3 they have could probably win a lot of games with them. But it's worth noting, the offense has a ton of weapons. They've got stud tight end George Kittle, arguably the best tight end in football. I think George Kittle's better at tight end stuff than Travis Kelce is, but Travis Kelce is better at receiving stuff than George Kittle is. You've got 2 great wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, who can line up at running back or receiver all over the field. You've also got Brandon Ayuk. You've got Christian McCaffrey at running back. I think the big question on offense, other than the quarterback position, is the right tackle spot. Mike McGlinchey left to go to Denver this offseason. So Colton McKivitz is going to be elevated from a backup to a starter. He's the 2020 5th-round pick, and he's been elevated to their starting right tackle. Colton McKivitz, can he play? I don't know. We'll find out. That's going to be interesting this year. It's a big question mark on their offensive line. Although I would think if they thought he sucked, they probably would have replaced him and found a new right tackle this offseason. I just believe in John Lynch, the general manager. So even if McKivitz isn't this great right tackle, I'm sure he'll be serviceable at minimum, because I think if they realized they had a huge problem, they would have found a way to solve it this offseason. It is also worth mentioning the 49ers have their left tackle, Trent Williams, is, in my opinion, the very best offensive lineman in all of football. He's amazing. So the weakness on their offensive line is the right tackle, but that remains to be proven. We'll see how he does this year, their new starting right tackle. There was a big loss. The 49ers lost their defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans. He left to be the head coach in Houston. However, I thought they recovered pretty well. They made an amazing hire. They hired Steve Wilks as their new defensive coordinator. I watched the Carolina Panthers last year after they fired Matt Rule, and Steve Wilks was the head coach, the interim head coach for a while. Man, he had that team fighting really hard. I thought as an interim head coach, Steve Wilks arguably should have been hired as a head coach in Carolina. So I think that's an amazing hire, a really good way to recover from losing D'Amico Ryans. I mean, they just reload. They got, they lost Robert Saleh. They reloaded and got D'Amico Ryans. Then 2 years later, they bring in Steve Wilks. I mean, I really believe in the 49ers. Apparently, they're really good at hiring defensive coordinators. They've done it 3 times in a row and done a really good job. Now, I would not want to play against the 49ers if I was a quarterback in the NFL. Their defensive line is terrifying. A couple guys that stand out on the defensive line, just to name a few: Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. Nick Bosa's an incredible pass rusher. He's terrifying. Adding Javon Hargrave, their defensive tackle, was a big move. He came over from Philly, played there last year, got them to a Super Bowl. I think it's a huge, huge deal that not a lot of people are talking about. Now, the 49ers lost 2 starters in their secondary. Safety Jimmy Ward is gone. Corner Emmanuel Mosley is gone. And so we are likely going to see Diamador Lenore as their new starting corner, their number 2 corner for the 49ers. He's a young guy. He turns 24 in October. He's a 2021 5th-round pick out of Oregon. He's unproven. So that's a big question mark, is what does Diamador Lenore do at corner for the 49ers. However, here's a great advantage he has. He's got a great defensive line backing him up. And when you got a great defensive line making quarterbacks uncomfortable, it makes it way easier for corners. And if you got a weaker corner who's not as good, it doesn't matter if the opposing quarterback of Joe Burrow is playing the 49ers, but he's getting sacked and on the ground. Doesn't matter how weak your starting number 2 corner is if the quarterback can't get the ball off. So I think that any weakness they have at corner is going to be really helped by their great pass rush getting after the quarterback. Now, before I tell you my prediction for the 49ers 2023 season, I want to say 2 things that are worth noting. Number 1 is that I love safety Talanoa Hufanga, guy out of USC. He's in year 2. It's just fun to watch. He's a safety that plays with high energy. He hits really hard. He's smart. I feel like he's regularly in the right spot. I really like Talanoa Hufanga. I think that might be controversial. I'm not sure. I heard someone criticizing him recently, but I really think he's a great safety. I like him. I thought it was a high-value draft pick when they got him out of USC, and I really, really like watching the guy play. And number 2, my other note is that Sam Darnold's on this football team. Sam Darnold has had multiple attempts to try to become a franchise quarterback in the NFL. He didn't work in New York with the Jets and Adam Gase. He didn't work with Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers. However, if anything happens to Brock Purdy, I think Sam Darnold could play well. He's playing for Kyle Shanahan on the 49ers. That's basically the only scenario in the NFL where I would feel comfortable with Sam Darnold being a starting quarterback. Like if he was in Tampa or Vegas or Atlanta, I probably would have no confidence in Sam Darnold. But look, Kyle Shanahan's such a good head coach that I feel like no matter who plays quarterback for him, they're going to win and do well. And so I think that playing for a great coach and a great team puts Sam Darnold in a good position to do well if he gets forced into action. Now, everything I just said is probably going to come across like kind of a contradictory statement because I'm going to tell you my prediction for the 49ers and then why I believe it. And you're going to go, Zach, what about what you just said? I'll explain. I have the 49ers going 9-8 this fall. 9 wins, 8 losses. And I can already imagine the wave of angry emotion and energy coming at me from 49ers fans. You're an idiot. What are you talking about? How can you say the 49ers are going to go 9-8? But as I look at their schedule and try to evaluate how I landed on this 9-8 season, because I go through every game, I make picks, and then at the end of my process, I count up all the wins and losses for an NFL team. That process gave the 49ers 9 wins and 8 losses. And I think the reason why we got here is because I'm not sure what to expect from their quarterback, Brock Purdy. I'd like to believe he's going to be amazing. And the 49ers have a great football team around him. However, there's a lot of really great football teams in the NFL this year. I mean, it's just kind of loaded with teams everywhere, it feels like. As I look around the NFL, there's not a lot of easy games this year. Every team feels like they got a chance, other than Arizona and the Rams and maybe Houston. But here's a really big thing I had to ponder as I went through the 49ers schedule. When they play Cincinnati, for example, both really great football teams, both have been really successful, both went to the conference championship game in the AFC or the NFC last year. But who's got a better quarterback? Who's better, Joe Burrow or Brock Purdy? I think Joe Burrow's better, wins that matchup. So 2 great teams with great quarterbacks. Who's better? The other quarterback. How about Lamar Jackson in Baltimore or the 49ers and Brock Purdy? I think Baltimore is going to be really good this fall. Who's going to win that quarterback matchup? Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy? Who's going to outperform the other, score more points? I think Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy? Deshaun Watson or Brock Purdy? Dak Prescott or Brock Purdy? I'm not trying to hate on Brock Purdy. I think I just don't know what he can do yet. 9 wins could be way, way off if Brock Purdy plays at a really high level. And it's worth acknowledging that in the 6 games he played at the end of the regular season last year, Brock Purdy threw 13 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. Over 17 games, that rate would mean that he would throw 37 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. That's a really great season. And if that's what Brock Purdy does this fall, I'm going to be wildly inaccurate. 9-8 is going to be totally wrong. I acknowledge that. And maybe that's what he's going to do. But I think you have to acknowledge Brock Purdy is the number one question on this football team. Can he outperform and beat quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins even? I think I'm not ready to say that yet. I think I'm not ready to say that Brock Purdy is going to win a quarterback duel against another really good quarterback. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I love Brock Purdy. He's a great story. And the dude seems locked in. As I listen to interviews and conversations he's having and a couple times in front of a microphone, the dude is like all business. I really, really appreciate the intensity it appears that Brock Purdy's approaching this year with. He's really, really trying to take advantage of this opportunity he's been given to start in San Francisco. But I think when you really force me to make a decision, I'm just not sure what to expect from Brock Purdy. And the reality is, if Brock Purdy doesn't have a great year, we might see Kirk Cousins as a starting quarterback in 2024 in San Francisco. Like, he's an unproven commodity. Time will tell. I want to see Brock Purdy prove himself. I want to see him have a great year. If he throws 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, that would be amazing. And if they do that, 9-8 is going to be totally wrong. But I don't feel comfortable relying on him so far. Like, if I have to make predictions, who do I believe in? Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. That's how I ended up at 9-8. And you may not like that. You may not agree with me. That's totally fine. But I just don't feel comfortable betting on Brock Purdy yet. And we'll see what he can do. But if there's any prediction in my first round of predictions that's totally wrong, it's going to be this one. I can own that and acknowledge that. And 49er fans, I hope you can forgive me for it. I'd love to be wrong about Brock Purdy, but when it came to picking their games, I'm like, two great football teams. Who's got a better coach? Who's got a better... As you measure all the way down the line, it came down to who's got a better quarterback. And usually, I felt like the other team had a better quarterback. So that's how we ended up with the 49ers going 9-8. I think they're a great football team, capable of a lot. But Brock Purdy's still got to prove himself before I'm going to, make a prediction betting on him being a truly great, like, elite-level quarterback. I know that's going to infuriate some people, though.